everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time, welcome. My name is Joy. Today I'm going to share with you the eyeshadow palettes I'm considering for 2022. There are 7 eyeshadow palettes for my choices for Panda Palette 2022, and let me start with this Smushbox Cover Shot eyeshadow palette, and this is the Golden Hour eyeshadow palette, and that's what it looks like. There are 8 pans in here. The weight of this eyeshadow palette, according to the packaging, is 7.8 grams. So there are 7.8 grams of product in here. Since I already started working on this in my Project 10 uses, I know there's less than 7.8 grams. And I would think these 6 eyeshadows have less than 1 gram each. So in terms of using this up fully, panning this fully, I think that it's possible with 7.8 grams. Less than 7.8 grams, and that's the reason why I am considering this for my Panda Palette 2022. Now the next one is also another 8 pan eyeshadow palette, and this is the Wet n Wild Comfort Zone, still in the old packaging, so this is quite old already. And the reason why I'm choosing this is because of the packaging. I've already broken the lid for this one, so you can see it's already broken, and that's the main reason why I'm considering this one. I've worked on this year, last year and this year. For this year, it was part of the years of usage eyeshadow project pan, where the goal is for me to use each eyeshadow 21 times. So definitely each of these eyeshadows have been worked on at least 21 times. The one that I had difficulty working on, reaching the goal of 21 uses, is this brow bone shade. But I think, based on what I recall, I may be able to actually use this continuously. Just with some difficulty, lightly with this brow bone shade, and even with this one, because it's just too shimmery. And then the next eyeshadow palette, there are now 10 pans in them. So these are my 8 pan eyeshadow palette options. The next one is this one. This is also quite old. I've been thinking of working on this for every year. Yeah, and simply because it's quite old. I got this quite expensive. It was more expensive than the usual. I bought this for around $15 to $16, and I think I could have bought this around $12, so it was $4 more expensive than what it should be. Anyway, the reason now why I'm thinking of considering this for next year, apart from the age, the cost, is because I've worked on this already several times. I just don't remember the number of uses for each eyeshadow. But you can see that there's already a dip in there for this shade. Also for this shade. And this shade. Yeah, for most of this. Even for this one. There's already a dip. So maybe if I focus on this one, I may be able to hit pan on them sooner rather than later. Now, in terms of the weight, there are 14.2 grams, which means to say definitely for each eyeshadow here, there's over 1 gram of product. So still feasible, I think. Maybe more challenging compared to these 2 eyeshadow palettes, but doable. And with the dip that I have on many of the eyeshadows in here, I would probably be able to hit pan on it sooner. So that's the reason why this is something I'm considering. Now, the next one is another 10 pan eyeshadow, and this time it's a new eyeshadow. It's not really new, but I've not used this yet. I haven't tried working on this at all. There's still this seal here, which I haven't removed, and I haven't swatched this. I haven't tried on this, but it looks something that I can work on. There's 1 gram of product in here. Is it? Let me check. Sorry, no. There's 1.3 grams of product on each eyeshadow. So this will be much more difficult. And because I haven't tried this yet, I have no idea how easy or difficult it would be for me to use this. But in terms of the shades, it's something I think I can work on. This looks nice. This looks pretty. And then I think I can work on the gold shade as well. The Romeo shade is something I'm not so sure. The Bond probably, because these two are also shimmers. So there are 4 shimmers in here. But this is something I think would be fairly easy in terms of using it most of the time. Almost every day, I would say. So those 2 are my 10 pan eyeshadow. The next one, the next option now has more pan in them, and this is the trench coat eyeshadow palette from Etude House. I worked on this last year in a Christmas project pan. This was part of a Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come project pan. And that's what the palette looks like. So you would see that it seems to have not been touched yet, but I have worked on this last year. I just don't recall how many times I've used each eyeshadow. But this one, I think you can see that I've touched that. I've used that. So in terms of these shades, it's also quite muted, right? Just like the Be in Love With. And in terms of the amount of product in here, there's 1 gram for each of the eyeshadows. According to the box, it's not in here, but in the box, it says 1 gram for each eyeshadow. So that's also one of the reasons why there are just more eyeshadows in here. Perhaps using this up will not be feasible. I did work on a 15 pan eyeshadow. I think that was in 2018. Or 2019, I can't remember now, but I did work on a 15 eyeshadow palette for my Panda palette, and I was able to only hit pan on 7 eyeshadows. So using this up will not be a goal if I work on this. Hitting pan probably, and I'm not so sure of hitting pan on all of the eyeshadows though. I think this is not a soft formula from what I recall, because you can barely tell that I've used this, but I did last year. Then next would be a bigger palette this time. So this is 15, and this one, the next option is this one where there are 18 eyeshadows in here. This was a choice for the year before. So in 2020, I was considering this, but I opted for another eyeshadow palette, and there were 8 eyeshadows in the one that I decided to go for. Now, the reason why I'm considering this, because when I was working on this in my years of usage eyeshadow project pan, I know that many of the shades here are not so pigmented. So I feel to get the shade, to get the color that what you're seeing in here, I would need to use more product than normal. But for some of them, they're quite pigmented. So for example, this Sunshine shade is quite pigmented. This Tempting shade is also quite pigmented. And Citrus, of course. Now for the others, I don't recall so much. But what I do remember is for many of this, such as Butter, obviously, even for afternoon tea, I would hitting my brush harder, or I would get more product than normal. Not really than normal, but for this eyeshadow, I would need to get more product to get the pigment that I wanted. So that's the reason why I'm thinking perhaps this is actually not going to be as hard, even though there are 18 eyeshadows in here. I may be able to hit pan on many of the eyeshadows if I focus on this one. I can already see myself hitting pan on at least 5 eyeshadows in here. And then for the others, it may be 5 to 6 actually. And then for others, perhaps it will be a bit more challenging. But using up this palette will not be a goal for me if I decide to go for this. Or even trying to hit pan on all of the shades, it may not be feasible, but can be a goal to set for this should I decide to go for this. And then lastly, this is the Belonging You Can Be eyeshadow palette. This is also in my years of usage eyeshadow project pan. And there are now more eyeshadows in here. There are 21 eyeshadows. So if the 18 is going to be a challenge, I know this is going to be a challenge. Now, the reason why I'm considering this is because I was able to hit pan on this shade, the Weekender, in less than 21 uses. I need to check my records, but I think I just used that for 15 times, and then I've already hit pan on it. So that's the main reason why I'm thinking perhaps this is not going to be hard, but it may just be for that eyeshadow actually, which is quite easy to hit pan on. Similar to the earlier eyeshadow I showed you, which is the I Heart Revolution Lemon Drizzle, my goal for this one would not be to fully use this up, but to hit pan on most of the eyeshadows. And because of my experience with this Weekender, I'm thinking I may be able to hit pan on many of the eyeshadows fairly quickly. So that's the only reason why this is an option, considering the number of eyeshadows in here. Apart from that, also because there are more choices in terms of the shades in here. So yeah, I think in terms of my usage for these two is quite different with the other eyeshadows. I tend to hit my brush harder on the palette to get the color payoff for some of the shades. And for this one, I haven't used this 21 times yet for all of the eyeshadows. Only a few of the eyeshadows I've hit the goal already, such as Jet. So that's what it looks like for a little over 21 uses. This Weekender, I used that for 15 times, I believe, hitting pan already. Stranded, I already worked on that for 20. I've already used that for 21 times, and that's what it looks like. And then for the other shades, I haven't hit my goal on them yet. That's what I recall for now. Yeah. So there. So these are the 7 eyeshadow palettes that I'm considering. This is inexpensive. This is all, well, all of them are inexpensive. I think the most expensive one would be these two eyeshadow palettes, because I got this for around $16 to $18, I think. And then the trench coat, almost the same amount, or $20 perhaps if I convert it, because I didn't pay that in dollar. Yeah, so these are my choices. What do you think would be the good goal for next year for me, or the best choice for me to pick from this 7 eyeshadow palettes? Let me know in the comment section what you think I should choose. If you would be voting for it, which one would you want me to work on? Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!